I hear probably every day, as you do, people saying, why are we still talking about gender? Yes. Look at women can do anything that men can do. Let's stop talking about it. It's boring to talk about it, and the problem's already been solved. But if the problem had already been solved, we wouldn't see that only 5% of the CEOs of leading companies are women. We wouldn't see the perpetual gender wage gap. We wouldn't see the fact that women are performing much more of the care work at home, whether it's children or elder care. They're performing much more of that than men are. So if we've solved the problem, then in theory, we wouldn't be seeing all of these other indicators of inequality. And I should point out that these indicators of inequality, once you take into account race, indigeneity, ethnicity, disability, and immigrant status, those all get multiplied. So I want to point out that we should really be thinking of this in an intersectional way. Where it comes into this conversation of meritocracy is that the way that people often explain those differences that I was just describing, lack of women in leadership, differences in pay, is they say, well, it's a meritocracy. If women were qualified to be CEOs, we would have more women CEOs. If women were qualified to get a promotion, they would get more promotions. And so laying it off on the fact, the belief that we have a meritocracy, and therefore any inequalities we observe is because of, quote, lower quality for women or other historically excluded groups. But that simply can't be the case. And there's just been so much research that has demonstrated that a meritocracy actually doesn't operate right now. So there's been studies for when it comes to entrepreneurs where they've basically had the exact same pitch for the exact same startup being pitched to investors. Only some were narrated with a female voice and some were narrated with a male voice. And somehow the one narrated with a male voice is seen as twice as investable by investors.
Wow.
We've seen, people presented with the exact same resume, only one has Julie at the top and one has James at the top of the resume. The qualifications are identical. James is seen as being twice as hireable as Julie. So we know from study after study after study that meritocracy is not operating because women and other excluded groups are actually not being included, not getting promoted, not getting hired, even when they have equal qualifications.
This conversation is part of a series produced by the Pay Equity Commission of Ontario to examine economics, equity, women work, and money. Episodes can be found on www.leveltheplayingfield.ca, on the YouTube channel of Ontario Pay Equity Office, and wherever you download your podcasts. Please share this episode on your social platforms so we can elevate the equity conversation.